Good afternoon, and welcome to our Mythbusters webinar, aka the Winter Conference.
We're your hosts,
Amanda Nill
and Michelle Martin.
Before we get started, there should be a little chat box up on your screen. If you click it, you can type in any questions that you have throughout this webinar. If you have any other myths that you want busted or have any other questions, you can just chat away. We have a room full of all the other specialists who are waiting for those questions to come in, so please feel free to use that. Or you could also email us at schoolnutritionprograms@schools.utah.gov, and we will be they're happy to answer your questions.
All right, let's get started.
We have a couple of key areas that we're going to bust the myths on today. We've got the nutrition, some in operations, some administration, and some in other programming.
Okay, nutrition first.
Myth number 1, all grains offered must be 100% whole grain.
Busted.
Busted. They do not have to be 100% whole grain. They can be at least 50% whole grain. Wheat, flour, and the other just has to be 50% enriched flour.
You can actually also serve extra grain. You just can't contribute it to your program if it does not meet the whole grain rich requirement. So, for example, this chocolate cake does not have enough whole wheat flour to credit for the program, but because it's served with a product that does meet the whole grain rich requirement, this meal would be in compliance. If you want this cake to be served and to credit to the program, 50% of the flour would have to be whole grain.
Makes sense. Myth number 2. The announcement from USDA in November of 2017 provides additional flexibility in serving whole grain rich and other milk fat varieties without state agency approval.
Busted.
No, you need to have state agency approval. And just to let you know, right now, we are currently not providing flexibility for the flavored low-fat 1% milk. We are providing flexibility, though, for the whole grain rich.
Correct.
Yes.
So, what do you need in order to submit a waiver for the whole grain rich requirement?
You're going to have to explain to us, provide support and documentation on why you cannot have a product that is whole grain. You're going to be able to support it and tell us if it's examples of like difficulty in purchasing.
Maybe or preparation.
Could be issues with the quality of the product. Any of those.
Just make sure that when you submit your request, you have production records or some other type of documentation to justify why you're requesting the waiver.
Okay, on to myth number 3. Schools are required to conduct a nutrient analysis on school meals for the state agency.
We hope you'll be happy about this one.
Because you do not. They are not automatically required for administrative reviews.
Something maybe to consider if you serve a lot of extra items or you're way over those maximums for meat and grain for the week.
Yes. Okay. Myth number 4. Schools cannot serve leftovers or seconds. Michelle?
Busted.
You totally can serve leftovers or seconds. You just want to make sure that you keep a couple of things in mind, that you're still planning accordingly. You shouldn't be planning for extras, and that you want to keep the quality of the food in mind before you serve it the second day, and you want to make sure that your safety procedures are also intact. We have one last myth here in the nutrition sector. Meal patterns require fresh fruit to be served.
Sorry, my fault. So, I didn't mean to distract you. But yes, so we have one last myth. You can serve multiple options of fruit in your meal pattern.
Yes, you can.
What are they, Amanda?
You can do fresh fruit if you'd like.
Dried fruit.
You can do juice.
Or canned.
Whatever you choose, whatever you have available that day. That concludes the nutrition section in the meal patterns of our webinar today. If you have any questions, feel free to type those in right now. They're waiting for you. While you do that, we're going to move on to the next section here today. It's going to be the USDA section, and we have a special guest coming in straight from our offices, Kelsey, to talk to you about this. Come on in, Kelsey.
Hello, everyone. I am here today to join for the segment that we are going to call Mythbusters Commodity Edition. So, let's get started with our myths, shall we? So, the first myth of commodities is, I don't need to complete the annual survey on CMP Web. Busted. You do. If you want commodities for next school year, 18-19, then you do need to complete the annual survey on CMP Web. So, the annual survey is when you spend up to 105% of your entitlement for the following school year. It's found in the green puzzle piece on CMP Web, and please make sure when you go in to fill out your annual survey that you're in program year 2019. If you're in program year 2018, then all you'll see is what you've gotten this school year, so it won't help you. This is different than the pre-survey that we sent out in January. So, we sent out the pre-survey that was just a bunch of check boxes to tell us what you wanted. This annual survey is your opportunity to go in and spend your money on the items that we've got available for you. So, it opened on the 5th, February 5th, and it closes on Friday, March 2nd. So that is 2 weeks from tomorrow. So please make sure that you have enough time to go in and spend up to 105% of your entitlement. So, this is the best opportunity, the primary opportunity for you guys to receive the commodities that you want. There are other opportunities for you to spend your money later in the year, but this is the best opportunity, so just keep that in mind. Entitlement is use it or lose it, so we're going to give you as many opportunities as we can to spend your money, but just keep in mind that this is the best one, so spend up to 105%. So there are 3 ways to spend your entitlement: DoD, direct delivery, and processing. So DoD is the easiest way. It's the most simple and straightforward. So if you have issues like limited storage or you're a little bit confused about commodities, then DoD would be our suggestion. It's easy. You would go into the DoD section on the survey and you would just type in the amount of money for your entitlement that you want to spend. You can spend 100% of your entitlement on DoD products. So you would be able to get weekly deliveries through Muir Copper Canyon, and it's pretty simple that way. So the next one is direct delivery. Direct delivery commodities were formerly called brown box commodities. We will refer to them as direct delivery commodities from now on. So these items on the survey are listed out by food product category. So you'll see fruits, vegetables, pork, beef, poultry, things like that. So you'll be able to go into those sections of the survey and fill out how many cases you want, and it'll show you the price of those cases and how many you've requested, so you'll be able to see how much of your entitlement you've spent versus how much you have left. So it's an easy way to keep track of what you've spent and how much you still have left. The third way to spend your entitlement is processing. So this is when you would divert bulk pounds of a product to a processor so that you can get end products made by those processors. If you have any questions, just let me and Melissa know and we can talk to you more about processing. So on to the second myth for commodities. I will receive all of the commodities I select on the annual survey. Nope, unfortunately, that one's busted as well. The annual survey is a request. The state, meaning me and Melissa, we are the ones who place the orders to the USDA based on your requests. So your survey is a request to us telling us what you'd like to spend your entitlement on, and then me and Melissa go in and actually spend that money. So you're encouraged to spend up to 105% of your entitlement because entitlement fluctuates. It's kind of a moving target. So the entitlement number that you see under your entitlement tab on CMP Web is right now an estimate. It's based off of a lot of different things meals from a prior school year. So the prices will also change depending on a lot of different things. Cancellations happen, natural disasters like we've seen last year happen. Also, we don't award all of your commodity requests. So all of these factors go into your entitlement fluctuating. So just keep in mind that it's a moving target and communicate with me and Melissa about opportunities that you'll have ongoing to spend your entitlement money. So let's move on to myth number 3 for commodities. There are plenty of delivery periods left this school year to order my commodities from the Davis warehouse. Nope. there is one. You have one more delivery period for school year 17-18. So just keep that in mind. It's March. February deliveries you've already ordered for. They will start going out next week. But your last opportunity is March. So your orders are due in CMP Web on March 9th. So all the commodities must be out of the warehouse on the March delivery. It will have to be emptied. So everything that's in your inventory tab on CMP Web is going to have to go into your order because that's what you'll have left. We're still expecting some deliveries, so keep checking your inventory because it will probably fluctuate. And then we also have surplus items that are still available. So if you have items that you might be interested in, go to that Add Surplus button under the Allocations tab in CMP Web, and you'll be able to see all of the surplus items that we've got, and all of it's free. So you can take as much of it that you're able to store that you think you'd be able to use. So just keep in mind that entitlement doesn't roll over from school year to school year. You can't roll over commodities that you have in the Davis warehouse to next school year. You have to take it. The only thing that can be carried over to next school year are processing pounds, and you have to fill out a request form to do that. So the request form was attached to the email that Melissa and I sent out about the survey. So please make sure that you fill that out if you do have pounds at a processors that you want to try to carry over to next year. So that's all we've got for commodities. I hope you enjoyed. Back to Michelle and Amanda. I'm going to roll out.
Okay. If you have any questions regarding USDA foods or commodities, please feel free to type those in now. Melissa's upstairs waiting to hear from you guys. Also, you can email them or call whenever you have questions about that. I do believe, too, Kelsey, I saw something that, are there still free items available, too? Yes, there's still some leftover items, so please go on and check that out. Okay, our next section then is going to be on some operations, and we do have another special guest to go over this. We have Wendy. Welcome, Wendy.
Okay, we've got operations. The first one that we're going to, myth that we're going to bust is Buy American. The myth, with a Buy American provision in place, I can no longer buy produce or juice originating from other countries. That myth is busted. You can buy non-domestic products as long as you have the proper, keyword proper, documentation. If you have questions about what documentation, type them in the chat box or refer to the handout that will be provided. Okay, our next myth. Myth number 2. Sharing tables are not allowed in schools. This myth, you guessed it, is busted. They actually are encouraged. Just make sure to follow food safety guidelines and make sure that your local health department is on board. We will be providing a handout with health department contacts and more information. If you have any questions, type them in your chat box. And back to the stars, Michelle and Amanda.
Okay, thank you, ladies.
Our next topic, administrative reviews.
Our favorite.
Okay, myth number 1. Purchasing a software package will solve all of your food service problems. True or false?
False. But it should, right?
Not necessarily. You want to make sure that all of the reports that come from your food service software are validated and you have edit checks that you're checking on a regular basis. Whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, you'll have to choose based on what report you're running. But you want to make sure that the calculations in those systems are done correctly and they accurately reflect what you're trying to report. The other thing you want to consider is training. Were you appropriately trained from your vendor? Are there things you don't know about? And has your staff been trained accordingly?
And documented from the professional standards.
One other thing that we see on reviews too, confirmation reviews. There seems to be a little bit of confusion about whether or not your software system can operate as that confirmation official for your review, for verification. Unfortunately, if you want to use your software system, you have to have a waiver approved by the state agency annually.
Yes.
If you want access to that, contact your specialist. Myth number 2. Verification letters can be sent out after November 15th.
No, they cannot. They will be late.
Everything, all verification activities need to be completed by November 15th.
Everything?
Everything. So that means your household notifications, the information that you collect from them has to be processed, approved, and you have to send them their notification indicating the results by November 15th. So would make sure to adjust your processes to make sure that everything's in place to hit that deadline.
Sounds good.
Myth number 3.
Yes.
The same person that approved a household free and reduced meal application can also be the hearing official. Thoughts?
No. You have to have 2 different people.
Which means that if I'm the one approving applications, Amanda would be the hearing official. Myth number 4. The only menu documentation needed for crediting components is a statement from the manufacturer.
No, totally busted. You can use so many different things in order to credit your menus.
Other options include your food buying guide, your Exhibit A. You can get things like your nutrient labels, your ingredient lists, and product spec sheets that can also help you credit those things.
And I think we're going to be having a training at Spring Business, right?
Yes, about the food buying guide. There's a new interactive online guide that will help you credit your meal components. Okay, myth number 5. The school meal programs need to have a separate bank account for all school meal program revenue.
I'm going to say no.
No, that is not true. All schools generally typically have one account. What is important for food service is that they need to have their own fund to make sure that they're tracking all revenue and all expenses to that single fund. Typically in our state, we see that in Fund 49 and 51. If you have questions about that and where to get that information, make sure you're in contact with your business administrator.
Good advice.
Okay, this one will be fun. Myth number 6. The non-program food revenue tool only needs to be completed the year there is an administrative review. This is false. It
So
has
busted.
to be completed every year on an annual basis. You can do as few as 5 days. You can do as much as a full entire calendar year, or anything in between. But you need to make sure that you're using your actual meal cost to complete that tool, and also make sure that you're completing it on an annual basis.
Every year.
Myth number 7. The school food service director doesn't need to know what revenue or expenses are posting to the nonprofit school food service account.
Busted.
The food service director absolutely should know what's going in and out of the account that they're spending or producing revenue for. Make sure that you are meeting with your BA throughout the year, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever you feel is necessary to make sure that you have a good idea of what's going in and out of that account and how that works. You will get questions for that for the administrative review, and you want to make sure you know what's going on.
Yes.
Myth number 8. Schools are no longer allowed to have food fundraisers.
I think that's false. They can, as long as they're meeting that a couple different ways.
What's one of them?
If they meet the Smart Snack requirement.
The other is whether or not you're meeting one of the 3, or you're using one of the 3 exemptions per site underneath each LEA. So each school can have 3 exempted fundraisers per year. Those fundraisers have to be under, 5 consecutive days or less. And if you're having a food-based fundraiser that meets the Smart Snack standards, you just have to document that occurred and what products were sold. Mm-hmm. If you want to go above and beyond those 3 exemptions, those exemptions have to be submitted to the state for approval. If you have questions about that, make sure to contact your specialist also. Myth number 9. Will schools receive fines for not complying with the Smart Snack requirements? Thoughts, Amanda?
Unfortunately, I know you guys want them, but there are not fines that go along with this.
just like Amanda said, we don't actually assess fines directly for smart snacks. But what can happen is that if corrective action is required and the schools do not comply with whatever the corrective action plan is, we can and are actually required to withhold funds until corrective action has been satisfied. That doesn't just impact the school.
No. The whole district, all funds on hold.
For the entire claim. We will release them once corrective action has been completed. If you have additional questions about the administrative review process, please feel free to chat in that box to the next available specialist.
Yes.
And I'm going to turn it over to Amanda.
Our last section today that we're going to be talking about is other programs. So here we go. Myth number 1. Since my school is not over 50% free or reduced, it does not qualify for an after-school or summer meal program.
So how do I qualify?
Actually, all schools qualify for the after-school program, Michelle. As long as you're running the National School Lunch Program and you have additional activities, enrichment activities going on, you can do the snack program.
Awesome.
Right? Summer, Michelle, there are so many ways that you can qualify to run a summer program, so many ways that we don't even have enough time to talk about it in this webinar. So, if you have any questions or even thinking at the least about running a summer programming for this summer or next summer, please call our office at 801-538-7680, and we'll be able to help you do that. Again, there are tons of ways to get qualified for a summer program, and we'd love to help you. So please call our office. Myth number 2. Sports teams cannot participate in the after-school snack program or at-risk after-school meal programs.
They can't? Busted.
Totally busted. As long as the school has an additional enrichment or educational program going on consecutively at the same time with the athletics program, they can get a snack on the after-school meal program. And we like to call that
the umbrella model.
So if you think you have that, please call our office and we'll be glad to help you set that up. Myth number 3 in this section. There are no after-school meal programs that can operate on weekends or school breaks, such as during the holiday break.
Busted. Of course there are ways to feed those hungry kids.
Of course there are. At-risk after-school meal programs allow you to feed the children whenever they need it. There are multiple different ways to do this, so please, again, call our office so we can walk you through that and help you feed the children when they need it and want it. Our next myth. If all you want to offer is a snack, there is no reason to apply for at-risk after-school meal programs. It is better just to stick with the National School Lunch Program after-school snack program. Michelle, what do you think about that?
Busted.
Totally busted. When you'll really want to check this out is if your school is hovering over that 50% mark, you can get your percentage locked in for 5 years.
Definitely want to lock in that percentage. Take advantage.
So again, if you feel like you're around that bubble where you could go drop below that 50%, call our office and let us help you lock that in for 5 years. On to our next myth. The CACFP at-risk after-school meal program is the supper program.
It isn't?
It is not. I know, right? Although it's commonly referred to that, this program actually allows you to offer this program at any time throughout the day. You can offer it right after the meal or after the bell if you would want.
So it sounds like there's a lot of flexibility.
A ton of flexibility. Yes, Michelle, there are. And also with this program, if you just bump it up to serving this, they like to call it the super snack, offer more components instead of the snack.
Catchy.
right? You're going to get reimbursed so much more. You could get up to $3.50 reimbursement for
That's more than $2 more than a snack.
right, because the snack is only at 88 cents. So it's a really good program to check out and to take into consideration. Again, call our office and we can help you figure that out. If I choose to do the at-risk meal program, I have to do a supper every day. Myth. Every day that I do snack.
That's got to be a myth.
It is totally a myth. Some examples are we have some sites that offer a supper or that super snack and a snack Monday through Friday, but then they offer the breakfast and a snack on Saturday. So again, these programs are very flexible in order to meet the needs of your community and the children that you serve. Lots of different ways that we can help serve your community. So again, call our office so we can talk through some of those circumstances with you so that we can get those children fed.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome. If you have any other questions about snack or at-risk meal, type them in now. Or again, call our office.
At 801-538-7680.
Snack and at-risk meal, they're a little bit more complicated, a little more one-on-one type circumstances. So it really does help to call our office. Any specialist can answer it, but Matt is the expert in that, and he loves to talk about it and to get everybody on board. So please, he's waiting actually by his phone right now for your phone calls. Okay, we have one more section here today, myth. School team specialists sit in high-wall cubicles and never talk to each other.
That is absolutely busted. Amanda and I were joined by a couple of specialists today, and we know that not everybody has seen our office, so we thought we'd give you a little inside scoop. School team specialists actually sit in a cubicle farm where we can see each other and talk to each other every day.
All day long, I talk. I never stop. So that wraps up the myth and bust myth part of our webinar today. We just want to touch on some upcoming events and promotions that are going to be going on here in the next couple of months throughout the rest of the school year.
There will be a handout for this information, too, that will be either emailed to you or provided to you prior to the webinar. So the first one, we've got the equipment grant. You can see that there's an award timeline. The first date is the most important one. Make sure to get those applications in April 1st, and there's one application per school. Mm-hmm. And Chris is the contact for the equipment grant.
And really, maybe take a look at this. I think it's great. You could get some great new equipment in your kitchen for really just filling out an application. So
also, this is an opportunity to check out our new website. If you haven't been to USB's overhauled webpage, there is a list on our the National School Lunch Program tab that tells you what the allowable equipment is for the state.
And I do believe that this is also posted on Canvas.
It is. CNP Central.
Yes, so check it out. And if you don't have access to that or don't know how to get into that, please contact your specialist. We have a lot of great information up there.
Our next announcement
is the school breakfast program. We are so excited. I know you're excited getting everything ready for National Breakfast Week. National Breakfast Week this year is the 5th through the 9th. However, Utah is going to celebrate it a little bit later, 19th through the 23rd, but please feel free to celebrate it whatever week you'd like in that month. And forward any flyers or anything else that you guys are doing to your specialists. We'd like to hear about it. We'd like to give you guys some recognition. The UBET team is actually going to be handing out some breakfast awards this year. Right, super excited. And I believe this information is also on Canvas, or it will be sent out to you. So it's just you're going to go in. I think 10 schools are going to be selected. There's an application process. So you can get monetary awards go along with this one. So they're going to be giving awards for people who are doing some pretty creative things, if you want to brag about your program, or if you want to make any enhancements to your breakfast programs that are going on. So you definitely want to check that out. It's a really good opportunity.
Sounds like a good opportunity to
Yes. A lot of the funding is coming from the Department of Health as well, so you'll just want to check that out. If you guys are doing anything and you guys are posting anything, please use the hashtags that are on the bottom so that we can keep track of all the great things that are going on in Utah concerning breakfast. Okay.
Spring business. Mark your calendars, April 19th and 20th. We will be doing a traditional conference, and it will be in Provo. Those are the topics we're covering, so it includes participation, marketing, procurement, smarter lunchrooms, farm to fork, and, of course, our interactive food buying guide training. We will be joined by USDA for that training also.
excited
so it's
for that.
absolutely an opportunity you want to take advantage of.
Yes. Send as many staff as you can. And then our final announcement is don't forget about SNAU's summer conference, the 19th through the 20th of June, and it will be down in St. George. We know you guys were all looking forward to maybe having this conference down in St. George. Sorry. But we decided to just do the webinar, but you will be able to go this summer. So mark your calendars for that as well.
Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to use those chat boxes. If you don't get an opportunity to send us your questions through the chat feature, go ahead and email school nutrition programs at schools.utah.gov, just like Amanda mentioned earlier, or again, call us.
Yes.
We're always here to answer your questions.
And then I do believe this webinar is going to be available for you guys so that you can view it whenever and wherever you would like. So we'll be sending out that information later on as well.
Oh, one last thing
Yes.
for professional standards.
Okay.
Make sure you get your certificate after watching the webinar. And also with your certificate, we would love your feedback. If you liked training like this, we'd like to know about it so that we can make sure that we put together videos for you in the future.
Yes. Thank you guys. Have a great afternoon.